Hello, guys. It's time for the annual me talking about the UDL 1 hour long extravaganza, or also known as the season preview video. And I hope most of you are anticipating it and will take time to at least listen to the part about your team or your division. And I will make sure to add timestamps in the comments or in the description of the video, so you can jump directly to your own division or to any division that you would like to hear, or if you listen to the video in parts. Before we go into the divisions directly, just a few notes about the whole system. As you also like in previous seasons, the projections are based on the season total projections, so it's more or less roto style projections. I haven't done, and I haven't even thought about doing any head-to-head simulation, even though our schedule is set. This is like a whole different level of difficulty that potentially could be done. But I don't know, maybe next year's with the help of AI we can reach also this level. And another change, or this is not a change, but a change in this season compared to previous season, is that I've ditched the 5-star ratings, and instead I've gone to ratings on the 0 to 10 scale, where the 5 is the middle. And this is a, so to say, weighted roto scale, because for each categories, statistical category of our 14 scoring categories, for each category there is always one team that is at 0. So the weakest team gets a 0 rating, and the strongest team gets a 10 rating, and all the rest are slotted in between, but based on their separation from, like, depending on where you view it, either from the top or from the bottom, but linearly, yes, good word. So this is a bit of a change compared to the previous season, but I hope it will actually be more representative, or more giving you a better idea of where your teams stand. Although this is not the main purpose of this video, it's more or less like to have fun, and to have fun at how wrong it can be. But that's all I want to say as an intro. So first we go, let me go back one step. We will go division by division, and you already saw that we will begin with the Smythe, and we will begin with the Smythe because based on projections, this is the weakest division of all 4. So we'll go in reverse order from the weakest to the strongest, and I'll tell you from the beginning that the projections show that we have one clear strongest division, one clear weakest division, and 2 that are very close in the middle. So since we already saw which the weakest is, it is the Smythe, it is our division. And within each division we'll go by the projected end of season finish, so starting with the strongest team. And in the Smythe, this is the Turtles, so no surprise here. The Turtles are returning more or less the same lineup as before. You see the names in purple here are the ones that have been signed at the auction, and although Dallin is noted as purple, it is actually resigning by the Turtles, so it's not a new name. So you see that they have brought back more or less the same lineup, with Michkov noted in green as a still farm player, but he will likely hit his EOC shortly in the new season. And what can we say about the Turtles teams? I already said that they are one of the strongest teams. They have been that for a couple of seasons now. They have a lot of center depth, so that's why you see some of their centers shifted over to the left wing, like Draisaitl and Peterson. Although it seems, based on the preseason, that Draisaitl is likely to play with McDavid, which means one of them is playing the wing. And on the back end, Dalin and Moritz Seider are quite like horses that will drive the decor of the Turtles forward. And a funny thing about the prospects and the fact that Elliott has managed to pull the same trick as the Vancouver Canucks in owning both Elias Petterssons. So if you receive a trade offer from Elliott that sends you Elias Pettersson, be careful which one. So double check that. So that's about it. Next, in the Smythe, we have the Citadels. So they are basically in the clear, I think, in second place in the division. Not as close to the Turtles as they would probably like, but pretty clear of the rest. You see the Citadels have... I also double checked with Drew that he's doubling down on the 0D approach, and that's part of the reason why he traded me Luke Hughes a couple of days ago. So he's really focused on the forwards, and his forwards group is very deep indeed. Like you see here the top three lines, and his fourth line would actually include guys like Dakota Joshua, Sam Bennett, and Mikael Granlund. So this is quite a formidable forward lineup, but like I said, it comes at the expense of the D, which is like more or less a combined group of names, not real great especially for fantasy, for our fantasy format. And his goaltending is quite good, and anytime you have Vasilevsky, you have good goaltending, and it could become even better once the inevitable Freddie Andersen injury hits. And speaking of goaltending, Drew also has two of the best goalie prospects currently in Fowler and Nabokov. So that's the position pretty well covered, both now and in the future. In third place in the Smythe, I project my team. So the Steelers, as you see here, more colorful lineup, like plenty of guys that were signed at the auction in purple and some green guys, noting that this is a team in transition, basically going from like a rebuild to having some of the prospects already come along. Also, the top prospects coming are quite good, I think, especially Schaefer, who might... I hope he doesn't play 82 games and pull a Dalin on me, but it seems like the Islanders are definitely giving him a shot to start the season. Overall, the lineup is nothing to write home about, but it's by design, as this season I hope to be below the playoffs and then win the consolation round and get another high draft pick in the next round and potentially draft a good player, like preferably a center, maybe McKenna. I'm sorry about that. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So that leaves us, or brings us, to the fourth place in the division, which is occupied, according to the projections, by the Mighty Camels. And you see here Clint's lineup. I'm getting ahead of myself. You see here also the first red name, which means that this player will start the season on the injured reserve list in Nicholas Hague. But that's not a really major contributor for the Mighty Camels. As you see the lineup, it's definitely still a team in rebuild. Although some of the core pieces are already here, like Askarov and Samarin Zeo looks like a keeper. Also some good prospects coming along, as you see on the right, like on the blue. And I like how Clint is keeping himself entertained while in this rebuild, like doing stuff like signing Ovechkin to a max salary contract for 1 year, and also like making it as difficult as possible for the broadcasters to comment on his team, like employing both Geeky brothers and also putting Laferriere and Lafreniere on the same line. Of course, I put them there, but Clint would have done the same thing, I bet. And in the last place in the division, and let me like bring out a huge secret. I think also the last place in the league in the coming season. This is the Chilliwack Royals. So this is the lineup that Luke is fielding. Like he went to the supermarket for G and got a bunch of it. He has two shining jewels in Demidov and Zane Parek that are slated to play major roles as soon as this season. So these will be some of the cornerstones that he will definitely build around. And the goaltending picture looks quite like questionable. So he has Jake Allen, who is a good backup. But after that, he has Alex Wang, who always seems to find himself being the third string goalie, even though he usually puts up good numbers. And also, Luke has Samsonov under contract or Samsonov. I don't know where the hit is, or the emphasis. Emphasis may be the word. Anyway, so he has him under contract for this and next season, and I'm guessing that he's waiting for him to finally sign in the KHL so he can drop him for free. But looking at this lineup, yeah, it is, especially the forward group is yeah, interesting. So anyway, now we go to the overall projections and how these teams line up, and this is the picture that we will use for each division. So you see below the scale from 0 to 10, like I said, where 5 is the middle. So everything 5 is the average, everything above 5 is above average, and so on. And again, in each category there is one team with 0 rating, like for the goal scoring, not for the goal scoring, but for the scoring categories, and the grid categories, and the goaltending categories. And without further ado, here is the first 0 team, the Royals, who have the 0 rating for the offensive categories, which includes all 6 points related and plus the shots. And yeah, what can I say? That not amazing. But anyway, this is by design, I think, for the Royals. Hopefully they hopefully for them, of course, they managed to get a bunch of prospects quickly. So slightly above them are the Mighty Camels, not like wildly ahead, but just below 1. So pretty bad. Then come the Steelers at like 2.5, 2.4, I don't somewhere around this. And Halifax is the first team above average here. And the Turtles, as you will see, that they have managed to build a very consistently good team, as they rank in the upper 25%, like the 25 percentile. What I mean is that they have a grade of 7.5 or higher in all 3 categories, as you will see. Anyway, going to the grid, we start here with the Mighty Camels, which are the weakest. The Royals are slightly better than them. And then we have a bunch of all the other 3 teams that are closely bundled around the 8 point, the 8 rating. I think actually the Steelers and Halifax are exactly at 8, and the Turtles were slightly below them at 7.8 or something like this, if I remember correctly. But yeah, these are pretty close, and how basically we get there is that Halifax and Sheffield are 1-2 in penalty minutes projected, although Halifax is quite a long way ahead. And Hanover and Sheffield are 1-3 in the face-off percentage rankings. So basically, that brings the overall grid rating for all three teams pretty high, and I think all of them are also above average in hits. Yeah, I think that's about it. And about the goaltending, here is the second 0 out of 3 zeros that have, and again it goes to the Royals with the question marks over their goaltending. So if you are asking, or if you are wondering the question, which one is worse, the offense or the goaltending of the Royals, the answer is yes. So then I am, all jokes aside, like I'm not much better in terms of goaltending with the Talbot and Greaves tandem. Depends on how many starts actually Greaves gets, if he's like the backup to Elvis, or how things shake up in Columbus. But yeah, also the Mighty Camels goaltending, even though Askarov is great and will probably be a stud in the future, he's still only the goaltender of the San Jose Sharks, which projects to be quite bad for another year. Also, he has Vladar, who is doing work for the Flyers, which is, I could say, maybe worse than the San Jose, or maybe on par. And Lindgren should be at least decent for ratios, and quite significantly better. Like, I think the biggest gap between any two teams in any of the divisions is between the Mighty Camels and the Turtles in this category, the goaltending. So both Hanover and Halifax project to have pretty good goaltending stats for the coming season, and they will be like pretty solid, I think. And you can basically, what you can see on the picture here on the bottom right is that the Turtles are very solid, and the Citadels are quite good as well. They only lack a bit in the scoring department, although they have a very deep forward group. But it really, I think it hurts more than you think when you have dead last, when you are dead last in projected for D scoring, because points from the D are also points for all other points categories. So the 0D strategy might seem like a good one, but it actually hurts you probably more than you think. This is more or less a note to Drew and follow up on our chat discussion from the other day. But yeah, when I look at the overall picture, I think it might be underestimating the effect on all the other points categories that you lose when you don't have scoring from the D. It's not only one that is hurt. Anyway, that's all for the Smythe. We're going to the next division, and like I said, this is the one of two close divisions in the middle, so to say, in terms of overall strength. It's the Patrick, and the top team of the Patrick is the defending champion, the Hearst Lumberjacks. So they project to retain their Patrick title. And you can see the lineup there, more or less returning their lineup from their championship team. They have a couple of additions, and also Zuccarello is starting on the injured reserve. But they are a formidable team. Still, like, of course, they're returning the core of the champion, so this is no surprise. They have one of the top prospects in goal in Sebastian Cosa, and they got Jackson Smith to add to the pool at this year's draft. So they still have some interesting names coming up, but are mostly a team that is built for contention right now. And next in the Patrick are the Kamloops Blazers, also I think similar to last season. And speaking of returning the same lineup, if the Blazers didn't have Dale Talon in their organization who forgot to submit the extension papers for Kiefer Sherwood on time, they would have returned the only full black lineup of the whole league. So Kiefer Sherwood, is, if you don't know the story, was eligible for FA extensions for the Blazers, but Greg didn't exactly meet the deadline. So he had to pay 250% the price to get Sherwood back via the auction. So effectively, he's returning the same lineup as last season. So this is showing some belief in his guys, and I think it's warranted. He's definitely he has definitely some good players, and especially with some guys like Frederick, if he sticks potentially with McDavid and Draisaitl, this could provide a big boon to his stats and especially his scoring stats. But overall, the Blazers are a strong team, definitely a playoff team. Although it's depends on all the things, but it will, I think, be a little bit hard for them to challenge the Lumberjacks, but it's definitely not out of the question. I would say that this is maybe not the closest, but one of the closer division battles. So in the third place in the Patrick are the Aces, and yes, the Aces may have been the talk of the preseason because of the Alexander Barkov injury, and these projections reflect the Barkov injury, so he's projected to have zero contribution for the whole season and spend it on the long-term injured reserve. So all the stats and the placement of the Aces are despite losing Barkov. And you see, definitely the center depth is hurt a lot by his absence. I had to field Vilardi here, even though he's not even a center. But I could have put Max Domi, but then we didn't have anything suitable for the left wing. So that's why I just moved Vilardi here. Like I said again, he's no longer even eligible to play center. But anyway, the strength of the Aces, I think, has been a couple of seasons with the goaltending tandem of Oettinger and Skinner, who is, I think, he's returning this tandem for the fourth year running, something pretty long. He has he is expected to have Shimon Nemeth join his team full time, and you see here in purple the additions that he made through the auction this season. Of course, also taken into account is the projections for Matthew Tkachuk is for half the season, not a full season. But still, despite all these injuries, the Aces, as you will see a bit later in the projections, they will field a respectable lineup and also playoff caliber, most likely. So after Tkachuk comes back, they might be a sneaky good or a sneaky dangerous opponent. Also, you see that they are quite good in terms of top prospects that are in the pipeline. Wallstedt might not be a prospect for long, since he's expected to maybe have a full-time role this season for the Minnesota Wild. We will see that. And the fourth place is the Ramparts, the Quebec Ramparts team, where they have the star names in McKinnon and Kucherov, who was signed to a 4-year deal at the auction. But the depth is quite lacking. Also, the Philly flavor here is very strong, both in the active roster. Okay, I have to learn this word. In the active roster and also in the farm. But the Ramparts are definitely a team still in rebuild, and there is depth to be searched or to be needed at all positions. But the top prospects that are coming up are impressive. These are just like 4 of the top names, but you can easily include at least like 3 or 4 other names that will still be considered very good. So the Ramparts, if Vince stays the course, are set to really have a big crop of younger players coming in over the next couple of seasons. But you never know with the Ramparts. we'll see how they end up. And in last place projected in the Patrick division are the Montreal Wanderers. So they got Mountain Bow back via the auction, also with significant price increase. They also get Brendan Hagel, okay. But otherwise, like their right wing is like atrocious. Like there is no offense to Matt Coronado, but there is no other team that has anywhere similarly weak on one of the forwards positions. And I would expect that for this season's the goaltending will save face for the Wanderers, but otherwise they will be towards the bottom again. And they will be building this prospect pool that you see on the right even further. So now with the gradings or the ratings and how they place. So in terms of offensive potential, the Montreal and the Quebec teams are neck and neck. So seems like the Quebec state or Quebec province rivalry, not like a great one. Then we have another pair in the Kamloops and Brooklyn being close to the average in terms of offensive projections, and rather unimpressively, the Womberjacks projected slightly above 6, so not like a powerhouse rating, but still the best in the division. In terms of grit, the Wanderers rank last, and in fact, the Wanderers are the only team that is below average in all skater categories. So they are very consistent in that. So even some teams that we already saw are projected like quite low, like the Royals and the Mighty Camels. They both have at least one category that they will rank above average. And also, the next teams here are the Aces and the Ramparts. And interesting for the Aces is that the Aces and the Ramparts are the two teams that rank last and second to last in projected hits. But the Ramparts are saved in terms of the grit ranking by the high projected save percentage, where they project to be tied for first in terms of face-off percentage. So they have that going for them. And on the other end of the spectrum, in terms of grit, are both the Blazers and the Womberjacks. And the Blazers managed to project even above the traditionally tough team of the Womberjacks. And Kamloops ranks second in both hits and blocks, while Womberjacks rank first in blocks. And interesting when we say first in blocks, when you look at the defense for the Womberjacks, it doesn't really scream first in blocks, but they are the team with the most like per game or average blocks from their forwards, and it's like they have guys like Blake Coleman and Tom Wilson also blocks quite a lot of shots. But a quick trivia question that I will not answer at the end, I will answer you right away. But who is the forward with the most projected blocks for the Womberjacks? I'll give you just a second. And if you guessed Austin Matthews, you're right. He's projected to block almost 100 shots over the season. I don't know if this is a good idea for the Maple Leafs or the Womberjacks for that matter, but he's one of the top shot blocking forwards in the NHL. He blocks more shots than some defenseman. So it is quite impressive, I found. And looking at the goaltending front, like the Ramparts, they have Philadelphia's goaltending and a couple of backups, where Wedgwood might turn to good to provide some good ratios, but overall the picture is quite murky. Like we said, the Montembeault and Jarry tandem for the Wanderers might be the only decent thing or decent rank they have going for them this season. And then we go into the positive side. So the Blazers have had their own homegrown goaltending team for years now with the Court and Logan Thompson. And if I don't know how good or how bad actually will the Sharks be and how many games will Nedeljkovic get, but it could potentially be beneficial if they get rid of him for their goaltending picture. And then we have the aforementioned good tandem for the Aces that ranks like 7.5, and the dynamic Russian duo for Hurst and Kevin has Shesterkin and Bobrovsky. So he's close, but not ranked as the best goalie crew in the league. So with that, we finish the Patrick. So we go to the next division, which is the Norris, which is very close. I think they had like just a 0.2 or 0.3 of a difference between the overall rankings of the two divisions, between the Patrick and the Norris. But what is not close is the top team in the Norris, projected to be the Wolfsburg Grizzly Adams team, so James. And it's like the depth on the right wing and overall the forward group and the scoring potential of the whole team is like just silly. And guys like Cole Perfetti and Jamie Benn, who is currently injured, they didn't even make the graph here or the picture here in terms of forward depth. So this is like the fireworks team of the league in terms of scoring. So they also have both Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar on the back end. So yeah, of course you can see that this is a team that is definitely all in and has been for a few years. So they have not much in terms of prospects. Let me just get a sip of my beer. And my voice, I feel, is starting to get rusty. So if you can name or if you can call like Justin Sordiff a top prospect, maybe it should have been any prospect. But I think James doesn't mind that because he's really one of the top contenders for the titles, both in the regular season and in the playoffs this season. So, and in second place, and like I said, not close, are the Sydney Millionaires. This is the lineup. Jay is another guy who went shopping for D and basically got a whole D crew at the auction. Although it's a bit questionable still if Grizzly will get a full-time job, but he will be. I think he's droppable. I don't know. He should be droppable. Other than that, the Millionaires will go as far as the Bedard and Fantilli tandem take them. So they have definitely, both of them have a lot of growth in terms of production that they can reach. And they signed like a premier left wing forward in Philip Forsberg. So this is a pretty good team. And like in terms of prospects, it was like a bit like scraping the barrel after Crystal, who is the only really good name, and I was hard pressed to find anyone relevant, but I listed those. So Jay can maybe correct them, or anyone who suggests some other. But the Millionaires project to finish second in the Norris and close third, close to the second, are projected to be the Red Bull team of Brad, so the ice hockey club Red Bull München. That's the full name of the team is, or should be, or at least is in the Deutsche Eishockey Liga. Anyway, tangent aside, this is Brad's team, and yeah, they have a deep forward group with no real superstars on it. But and also you see when I say deep, the forwards that you don't see here are guys like Evander Kane, Dmitry Voronkov, and Philip Hitiu. All of them really fantasy relevant guys. Especially Evander Kane, he's like much more enjoyable to have and own and watch in fantasy hockey than in real life. Because man, if he played for my team, I would be like furious in real life. But in fantasy, he's great. Potentially, if he's healthy. And the D and the goaltending picture is a bit of a mixed bag. On D, Lacombe is great, as evidenced by his real life contract. And Dustin Wolf is also great. But other than that, you have like Matheson, who is like rapidly dropping down the Montreal depth chart. And you have both Eric Carlson and Chris Letang, who are one too many offensive guys for the rapidly declining Penguins' offensive capability. But I know Brad is counting on one of them, or one of them is Eric Carlson. Is on Carlson getting traded somewhere, so we'll see if that happens soon enough for the Red Bull team. And in fourth place are the Cape Breton Oilers, and if it hasn't been used or coined already, I'm coining the CBO abbreviation for the Oilers. I've always had trouble saying the name, I don't know why, so CBO it is from now on. So the CBO and Ajay's team, I think they're one of the teams that return more or less the same lineup, which is like, I don't know, it's a bit doubtful decision when you consider that they were not a playoff team and they have some good prospects, but none really with the immediate impact, other than Samuskevich, but he's not really a major contributor. Looking at the lineup of the Oilers, it's like, it seems like most of it are good young guys who have another gear in them, like Mintyukov and Leo Carlson and Beniers and Svechnikov, but none of these guys has hit that higher gear, and it's a bit like, it makes you like think you have to be patient, but how long? Anyway, that's some tough questions for Ajay. Definitely, I see the potential here, but they're just not producing enough at the moment. And in last place, and pretty clearly in last place, are the Ice Dice, where the rebuild is nowhere near done, I would say. Mark shopped heavily at the auction, so he got every or all of the positions were needed. But basically, all of these players are just, other than Dostal, all of these players are just placeholders until the wave of next prospects come along. And Mark has definitely started to accrue, collect a very good like bunch of prospects, but this is still a long way to go. And the interesting part is that the only core piece I mentioned of the current roster in Lukas Dostal might not be around by the time the rest of the young core comes along, but we'll see. Maybe they can develop quickly, or quicker than I expect. So going to the rankings, like the usual picture, starting with the offense, and yeah, Las Vegas is pretty bad. second to last in terms of rank and offensive potential. But with the lineup that you see, it's like no big surprise. Then we have the CBO, slightly better, not awful, but still not good enough. Then we have the Red Bull team, which is, like I said, pretty deep, but without the star power, it's hard to reach even the average output. But they will be competitive, and you will see in a minute that they are competitive in terms of the grid, or at least a lot more competitive. The Millionaires are quite a long way ahead in terms of separation from the Red Bull team for third and second. And you see that they have a lot more like high-end guys, not only like the mentioned Bedard and Fantilli, Forsberg, Sam Reinhardt, and Brat is a point per game player nowadays, so they're quite good there. But anything like a lot more than quite good is what the Grizzly Adams are, and this is the first 10 team that you see. So we have seen 2 of the 0 rankings, and this is the first 10 rating that we see. And like I said, the offensive output of the Grizzlies is just silly. They are projected to be first in goal by a large margin, and as a proxy, they are also first in 2 goals plus assist, first in special team points, second in shots on goal, and third in assists and points by defense. So basically, they are top 3 in all 6 offense categories. And yes, if you had listened very carefully, I said they are projected to rank third in points by defenseman. So the team with Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar is projected to finish third. So this is a question for you to think about over the next couple of minutes. Who are the better teams? So it is really interesting and also quite impressive that there are 2 teams that are also not by a very slim margin better. But anyway, that's nothing bad to say about the Grizzlies. They still dominate the scoring categories. And what is not dominating is the Millionaires, who are the third 0 team and the 0 team in the grid category. So the Millionaires, although quite well on offense, they rank dead last in face-off percentage, second to last in blocks, and the only thing like keeping them company in terms of face-off percentage is the CBO. So the Oilers rank close second to last in terms of face-off percentage. So that's why their rating is also quite low. And then we have quite a gap to the Ice Dice, who are actually respectable and close to average in terms of grid, which is pretty standard for rebuilding teams. They manage to put like a tougher team to play against, and of course grid is easier to find and to shop for at the auction, and also on the waiver wire, but still respectable for Mark. And then not like very impressive, but both Wolfsburg and Red Bull finish above average in the grid projections, with the EHC team finishing like slightly above the Grizzlies, but still not wildly impressive, but good enough. And on the goaltending team, we start with the Red Bull team, and it all comes down to Merzlikins, and of course, because his projections, or he hasn't like Brad has had like zero-like belief in Merzlikins, but I don't know. So that's why the rating is quite low. And the other teams are like pretty good. The other 3 teams here in the around the 7 plus minus 1 rank, so pretty good, decent goaltending. And the Grizzly Adams are close to 10, not the top rating, but another excellent projections based on the projections for Mackenzie Blackwood being the clear starter in Colorado, and also Stowers being the clear starter in for Toronto. And he has been nothing short of excellent, I think, so far. And I don't think the Maple Leafs will take any huge steps back, especially during the regular seasons, which is their forte. Anyway, no jabs taken, no jabs given, whatever. So, and we get at the end to the best, the strongest divisions by the strongest division in terms of projections, and this is the Alums. I think the Alums, based on how you see the standings end up, will be the division that sends 4 teams to the playoffs at the expense of the Smythe, which will send only 2. And it seems like fair in terms of based on the overall strength of the teams. But of course, things can definitely shake up a lot differently than projected. But to start with the teams, the top projected team is again the Upper Canada Patriots, the top team of the regular season from last season. And Jeremy is again returning more or less the same lineup, which is a pretty strong one. And also we have mentioned this a couple of times and over the last couple of seasons that he has done a masterful job of both building a team to be among the top contenders in the league without sacrificing a ton of draft picks. So basically he keeps a lot of draft picks, and this keeps the prospect streamline flowing. So he has both a good team and some good prospect coming along. So he, I think, is here to stay. If he manages to win this year the playoff title, it's like, playoffs are different beast, but he's in a strong position again. Who also is in a strong position, and also I think the strongest he's been over the last number of years, are the Odessa Jackalopes, Max team. And he also is another team who brings back the same core from last season, with the notable addition of his 2 top prospects in Zeev Buyum and Ryan Leonard, who are poised to jump and be contributors as early as this season. So if you go back to the question from a couple of minutes ago, why the team with Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar on the team is ranked 3rd in projected points from defense? This is the answer why. The Jackalopes are projected to be 1st, and the Upper Canada Patriots are projected to be close 2nd in terms of both points by defenseman. And if you look at these 2 defense cores, they are mightily impressive, especially the Odessa one. If you imagine Buyum jumping in and actually playing anything close to the expected potential. So this pushes down Gavrikov to number 7, and you have a crazy scary. So if the Wolfsburg team is the scary forward group, and I would say the Jackalopes are the scary defensive group. They have no weakling and are very well balanced. And Uyghur is, I would say, maybe the one of, if not the most underrated player in our format. He fills up the stat sheet like, maybe he's not prime years big buff, but it's pretty close to what he was he was able to bring to the table. And I loved big buff. So yeah, that's what I have to say for the Jackalopes. They have a very strong team, and they could potentially challenge the Patriots. 3rd place, and like a bit of margin between 2nd and 3rd, are the Sour Bears, and the Sour Bears are coming together nicely, I think. Celebrini looks like a complete stud, so he will be definitely developing, and I think 100 points is on the cards for him. Maybe not this season, but within the next 2 or 3 seasons, I would say that it's very likely that he reaches the 100-point plateau. As is likely for Jack Hughes if he stays healthy. And looking at this lineup, the Sour Bears could realistically have as many as 4 100-point producers, which is not something many teams in the UDL can boast. They bolstered their defense via the auction with Miro Heiskanen and Morgan Riley. So this is quite a boost. So this is a stronger team now than compared to last season, definitely. And also they have some good prospects down the pipeline. So Will is, like, I think finally closer to like bearing fruit from his years of patience, especially with Celebrini. It's I think it's great get. And fourth place in the division are projected to be for the Tigers. I don't know if that was the plan. I haven't asked Cam, and I don't think he has commented anything on the open chat. But it seems like he's doing, or he has been doing, some kind of retool, and I think this has to be one of the better retools in the UDL, because he hasn't really stripped down the team, but at the same time his future looks quite impressive, with Nikishin one of the top expected players that will contend for the Calder Trophy in the NHL this season. And guys like Brady Martin and Dalibor Dvorsky, Koreshny, these are pretty good prospects. And he also has decent pieces on the roster for now. I especially like the Linus Ullmark signing at the auction. I think this was one of the better ones in tier 1 of this year's auction, because I think Ottawa is only going to get better, and Ullmark is pretty solid. So Cam got him for 4 years, which is pretty good, especially considering he has no immediate top goaltending prospect coming along. So that was important for him. So the Tigers might be better than expected, and maybe even if not this year, maybe within 1 or 2 years they can really be contenders again. So the last team in the strongest division is the Scouts, and this is not a bad team, or not as bad as some of the clear rebuilding teams, but I still think Andrew is doing also some kind of rebuild. He splashed the cash to get some decent goaltending, which he will only have, I think, for 1 year. Both Kemper and Saros, I think, were 1-year deals. So it's like a bit of a short-term fix. And the other part of the lineup is not inspiring a lot of confidence. So it might just be part of some rebuilding plan without really stripping everything down. But in this tough division, the Scouts project to be at the bottom. Although I don't think they will be bottom of the league team, but it will be hard with the other teams in the division to be a playoff team. Although I don't think it's completely out of the question to see all the Adams make the playoffs. I think we have seen all teams in the division make the playoffs on maybe a couple of occasions. Anyway, going to the ratings and the usual scale. So in the terms of offensive production, the Scouts rank at the bottom, but like I said, not awful, like a 3 out of 10, which is pretty respectable. And then we have the pairing of the Tigers and the Sour Bears. at slightly above average in terms of offensive production or projected offensive production. And then the next couple of the top two teams of the Patriots and the Jackalopes. So in terms of stats, I want to just to add that this is the only division that doesn't have a team like you see here that sucks in the scoring cats. So all the other divisions have had at least one team that really ranks in the 0 to 1 range in terms of scoring potential. And yeah, that is just a sign that this is a very strong division. But what's not so strong is the projected grid categories for the Tigers, and they are distinctively below average in all four of the grid categories, which puts them like second worst overall in the grid rating. And yeah, you might have noticed that we already saw all three of the 0 teams, but only one of the 10 teams. So you can expect some 10s here coming, but who will it be? You see the next teams in the grid categories are the Scouts and the Solar Bears, who have always been like kind of below average grid team, so they're mostly built for scoring. And like with the big difference, with big gap between the third and the second place, the Patriots rank slightly above 7, like 7.3 in terms of the grid rating, which is quite good, but not as good as the 10 rating of the Jackalopes, who are projected to be first in hits and by quite a lot. But if you look at their lineup here listed, you might be wondering where are all the hits coming from. But they are coming from the hidden fourth line of Odessa, which would include McBain, Marco Kasper, and Cartier. And those three players will hit you for 600 plus hits per season, which is an average of 2,200 per player. And this is quite significant. So, so Max is using his fourth line on purpose, like a very dedicated fourth line. He is also projected to be third in penalty minutes and top 5 in face-off percentage. So this brings the Jackalopes to the 10 rating in terms of grit. But what doesn't bring them very close to being among the top contenders is their goalie ratings. So they are like not the worst and not among the 3 or 4 worst teams that have a abysmal goaltending like mine. But they are not much better, and this definitely hurts the Jackalopes, because if they had decent goaltending, even average, just average, they would be right amongst the top dogs, which currently are the Upper Canada Patriots, the Wolfsburg Grizzly Adams, the Hanover Turtles, and the Lumberjacks. And these are still the top 4 teams projected, and the Jackalopes is the next, so the 5th projected best team, but just a tier below the mentioned 4, and it's only because of goaltending. So boasting or fielding the Chicago tandem is not something that inspires confidence, and the Luukkonen situation is like a lot more murky than it seemed 2 seasons ago. So and I'm not talking about the fact that he's starting the season injured. But I don't know what the plan is for Max, if he plans to do something about his goaltending or he's going to ride it out. You can win without goaltending, and I think it is definitely doable. So this might be the plan. So next, and quite a big gap as you see, because all the other teams in the division have quite good goaltending projected. I already said about the Ullmark signing. I think he's solid and will bring solid stats. for the Tigers. Forsberg is slated to be the backup for the LA Kings team, who also provides very good cover for their goaltenders and excellent ratios. So that's pretty good for the Tigers. What is better than that are the projections for the Sour Bears and the Scouts. And Sour Bears have had Demko for years. They have developed him, and if he stays healthy, he is excellent. And John Gibson is, I think, finally should be able to I don't know. I still believe in Gibson, and I think he will have a good season. I don't know how many stars he will have, but I think he's in for a good season. And like we said, scouts, they basically shopped some of the best available goaltenders at the auctions to ensure they have a good goaltending. But the last top rating of the bunch goes to the Patriots, and of course, now quite naturally, the tandem that includes Connor Hellebuck. And Binnington is also not a bad goaltender, but combined with Hellebuck and also the fact that they will bring you all the goalie stats you need without wasting a third roster space is a boost for the rating of the Patriots. So this is the last 10, and it goes to the Patriots for the goaltending. And this brings us to the end. Thank you if you watched along, and let me and let all the other guys in the league know what you think in the league chat. And we're only like a couple of days from the start of the actual regular season. So see you around, and again, thanks for watching, and have fun within the next few days, and then let's get it on. Okay, bye bye.